Streaming right now.
And yeah, we're live and we're back into the show of MakeCode from Microbit. Welcome everybody.
Yep.
How's it going, Emil?
Good. I woke up today.
Yeah. All right, so today we're going to be doing some radio stuff. Emil, I think we've. Ooh.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, I think I had the control key. Reset the zoom.
Okay.
And so if you scroll down, we are here on the makecode.microbit.org editor, and you can do that in your browser. Even if you don't have a microbit, we really recommend you try to get one. But we have a simulator, so you can do a lot without the microbit. And what we're going to do is a fun game. In radio, we're going to do fireflies. That's one of the coolest activity we have with the radio. So the microbit has a little radio.
Let's see. We're gonna watch this little video.
Wait. So fireflies. What is fireflies? Yeah. So this is a cool video you can watch at home, and it shows a natural phenomenon that happens in the forest, where the fireflies are synchronizing. And this is like a local phenomenon. There's no boss or there's no leader. They just start to align themselves and blink, and millions of fireflies are blinking at the same time. And biologists were, really wondering what was happening. And there's a great website that we link into our activity that actually lets you play with the model and explain what happens in the firefly. So this is a great website that explains what's happening. You can actually play and see what's going on. It also explained what's going on. So each firefly has a little clock in itself, and let's say, so you can see it here, every time the clock goes back to the hour, it blinks. Okay, does that make sense? Imagine you're counting in your head, and then you're like, oh, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. Blink.
Wait, we're in the firefly, so we can light up the fireflies all around us.
Yeah, we can light them up. Super cool. And this is the nudge part. If you see a firefly that flashes and you're turned off, what the firefly does, it increments its clock by 1. Mm-hmm. That's really all there is to it. So eventually they'll align themselves just by this simple idea of a nudge. And this is something we're going to want to do with the microbit. So imagine you have each microbit is a firefly. Mm-hmm. And we're going to use the radio messages as the flash of light. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to have a number of microbits. We got, I think, a few of them here. We're going to see them if they synchronize. All right, so we're going to keep this page alive just to figure out how to do that. We can try to code this firefly thing. So let's go and create a new project.
It's not in a tutorial yet.
Oh no, it's not a tutorial. All right, so the firefly is a clock. Mm-hmm. So we're going to make a clock variable. We're going to try to kind of do it from memory here.
And then I think they set it, of course.
And we set it to 0.
Let's start probably.
So the clock is going to be the one that increments. So let's go back to the thing. So we've got a clock.
Oh, no,
it starts at 1.
Forever. They put in the forever.
Oh, okay. So each firefly has its own individual internal clock. That's great. Hold on, let's go back and zoom in a bit. I'm going to hide this one. I'm going to zoom in. Zoom. All right.
What?
Yeah. Okay, step 1. So each firefly has its internal clock, and really what I'm doing is I'm trying to translate what I've learned here into something that looks like code. So we've got our clock that's equal to 1, so let's go into the...
And we need we're going to put in forever live.
Let's go back to the code and make sure it's 1. All right, so this is going to be 1.
And then we're going
to... it is in unstart.
No, it's on forever.
No.
Yeah, it was. Where's forever?
Oh, well, we'll figure it out.
No, look.
Oh no, we will start by adding a clock variable. Yeah, that is a bit misleading. It should be in the onStart.
Yeah.
All right.
Then we put in the forever.
Yeah, then we put in the forever. All right, so the forever loop, and every time the clock strikes 12, it flashes. So what we want to do is we want in a forever to increment our clock.
So first we need the if. Then
Yeah.
we put everything inside the if.
Let's move this one back into his little onStart. That's our starting block. All right, so let's we're gonna do an if,
True then else.
and the if is if
Okay, so we need a greater than or equal to.
if now the clock reaches noon. Now we picked noon as 8, which is a bit confusing.
Mm-hmm.
But let's do that. So we're gonna say that if the clock is
So wait, no. So we need.
yeah, we need some operator. And we're gonna say greater or equal.
Yep.
Then
we're gonna grab a clock.
you know what? Let's create a variable called noon. It's gonna be clear.
Wait. Okay, so clock gets set here, right?
Yeah, let's go back to the code. Create a new variable, and we're gonna call it noon. All right.
Noon.
Noon, and we're gonna set it to 8, so we don't have to think about that number. I'm gonna set that into onStart because it's one of our constants. All right, now
12.
8, and what we're saying is if the clock is greater than let's go back. The clock strikes 12. Okay. 12 is really 8. 12 is noon. So if it strikes 12, it means it's reached 12. So this should be our variable noon.
Ka-ching.
Ka-ching. Then it flashes. So the flash, we're going to use add score because it has a little animation. Just going to use that in game.
Where's game?
You can search for it.
This game is green. And this.
Yeah. Yep. Going to do that. And
We also need to grab a set clock to 0 here.
right, because we're going to reset the clock.
Mm-hmm. So a pause.
We're going to pause for a little while
Yeah.
because we need time to flash. So we're going to do 200 milliseconds.
And then
and-
we're gonna grab the clock to 0.
And we're just going to reset our clock.
Ka-ching.
Cool. Very nice. So that's the first part. Now if let's see, the second part.
Pause 100 and then change clock.
Well, yeah, so if we're not at noon, then we're in the mode where we're just counting.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we need to pause and then increment the clock. We pause one nudge, and then we change the clock variable,
By 1.
clock,
Oh yeah, oops.
clock. Okay, so that makes sense. However, if we run this, yeah, it's blinking. Because this is going to count 8 times, so roughly every second.
That animation looks really cool.
That's the add score animation.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So that seems like so it seems that it's working. But if radio was working, we'd see a second microbit, so we need to keep working on that. Is this doing noise? I'm just going to turn up the... All right. Make sure we don't have noise in the
Okay.
video.
There you go. We did that. We did this.
When you see a nearby fireflies flash, nudge your clock a little bit forward. Okay, that's where the radio comes in.
So radio send number 0, and then that's all we put in.
The microbit can send radio messages to a neighbor microbit. You can use these messages to simulate flashes of light. When the microbit flashes, also send a number over radio using radio send number. Okay, so
radio send number 0.
And so when we flash, yes, we're going to send a number.
Where's our... Oh, there it is.
And now we need to implement the nudge part. So when we see a number, a message coming from another microbit, we should nudge our clock. And this is this part. When the Firefly receives a radio packet and it is not sending a packet, increment its clock by 1. Okay, so that's important.
Radio received number. If clock less than 8, then change clock by 1.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about that. Let's maybe collapse the simulator. All right, so when we receive a number, that means we receive a message from another Firefly.
Okay, small f.
Now imagine the Firefly might be also, you might also be sending a message, and they happen at the same time. That's why we need to check. We need to check that our clock hasn't reached noon yet.
Oh, okay.
So you can go into, you can do an if statement for that. And we're going to check that so how do we, so we're going to check that we're not.
Oh yeah, I think I got it.
So we're going to get our operator here. And we kind of do the inverse.
Wait, was it?
We're going to do the opposite
Clock
of the other check.
less than 8. Grab that.
Yeah. And grab noon.
Oh yeah, noon.
There you go. All right. And if we're not, so basically we're in the dark and we see a nudge coming, we're gonna increment our clock.
Yeah. So that is change clock by 1. I
Yeah.
should have known that.
Yeah, it's tempting to look at the solution. All right, so and that's really, I don't know, we're getting close to what the microbit is doing. So here they are. They're not aligned, but as we start to iterate, they are starting to get closer and closer. Although they seem to be in perfect synchronicity as far as what's going on. Maybe we need more microbits. Maybe 2 is all right, let's see. What we could do.
We could change the clock by like 7, and then so.
No, they are basically completely inversed. And because they're in real time, they just one never catches the other, because this one is moving, this one is moving.
Oh yeah.
And they never reach the. But that's cool. So whenever you do radio, there's a thing that's very helpful is to set the group. And this is when you work in a classroom. You can set the group so that only group 1 is going to receive these messages. And then we're going to be trying that in the
real world.
world.
With how many microbits?
With a bunch of microbits.
Oh yeah. I think we have 5, 6.
All right. So I'm going to move to the table.
Should I download?
Move into the table station.
Okay, Control C4. I'm going to download. Microbit.
All right, so that's microbit 1. I've added a battery to it.
So do I have to download it again?
As soon as it blinks, I'm going to plug in the next
done.
one.
Plug in the next one.
All right, so we've got one here. I'm going to start plugging in the next one. Okay, you can go.
Okay. Oops, I clicked it. I did not right-click it. And then, do I just do the same one?
Yeah. It's blinking. All right, we got 2 of them.
Next, did you plug it in?
It's coming, it's coming. One more.
1 second. Yeah, redo that. Microbit. Get Ching. Flip it. I did it. I did
Yeah,
it.
it's downloading.
Okay. Four.
All right, 4. Oh, see? With 3, they align themselves. Do you see the 3 microbits?
Ready?
Yep. So when you're with 2, there's the firefly. There's always more than 2. With 2, they're in symmetry.
Yeah.
But with 3, they start catching up to each other.
Okay.
One more.
Ready?
Yep.
We're on a downloading spree.
Yeah. So this is a very fun activity if you do it in the classroom.
Because everybody
Could use its own microbit as long as you're in the same group.
most of the people have a microbit. Even if you have groups of 2, that's still a lot of microbits.
If you're in a classroom that has, a full classroom set, you might have
Like 30.
hopefully enough for every student. All right. And one more. Finish our demo.
It's going to be the click of faith. One else. Okay. Wait, I need to move it onto save.
What are you
It was
doing?
the last one. I was doing the click of faith because it was the last one.
All right. I'm going to leave that one here.
Did it download?
Let's move them back into view.
Ka-ching. Oh, do I have to download them?
All right. And, they're aligned. Even if I shut one down, this one has lost a lot of things. Okay, so I've turned this one off. But see, it realigns itself. I'm going to turn it off. It's not aligned, but soon enough. And then you've got your 6 microbits there.
Yep. A lot of hardware.
This worked with as many as you can find. You
Yeah.
can get your heads
I'll
on.
bet we have more in the house, honestly.
And again, this comes from a very simple phenomenon.
Fireflies.
Fireflies. So we're modeling, to come back to,
I just realized, probably for arcade, but the bottom of the mail bit looks like a microbit.
so to come back to the activity, we've modeled fireflies, and we reuse this awesome website here that really explains well what the process is. So starting from this explanation of what's happening in the nature, we came up with the code here that represents the fireflies. So it's really not a lot of code. And then you end up having this super cool, where is it? Super cool activity here where,
Are we muted?
no, we're not.
Oh.
Get the microphone. Where they're still synchronized. And you can use that for a lot of activities if you want to use the Firefly. In fact, Emil, let's go and actually get out of this project.
Yep. Share?
We don't have to share it.
Yeah, we don't have to share it. Fireflies.
Yeah, it's always good to give a good name.
Flies
Flies.
of fire.
Flies of fire.
And I got a very
Yeah.
happy emoji. Wait, does it get more emojis? No.
It likes good names. Okay, let's create a new project. I'm going to show you how to do fireflies quick. We're going to add an extension. And I'm going to search for Firefly. And sure enough, there is a radio Firefly extension. So I've written a few codes that add blocks for Firefly. So let's add that to our project. And now Firefly, you see there's a category Firefly now in the.
Oh, there it is.
So you can use the Firefly, the one on top, sync. That event triggers whenever our Fireflies have synchronized, and there we could do something like this. Let's try it. Let's see the simulator.
Hang on. Here?
Yeah.
What?
Well,
Oh,
you
they
never
already
turn off the
synced.
LED.
Oh, yeah.
You need to do a clear screen after. It's in basic. No, don't do pause. There is a pause in show. Just in more, you can find
Oh,
clear
yeah,
screen.
clear screen.
All right, so let's see. Yeah, synchronized.
They're synchronized.
They're synchronized. So you can use this library to implement synchronized things between microbit using a Firefly approach. And you'll get the same kind of cool effect there where they're all working together. And that is concluding the session for today, where we've been doing Firefly coding using the microbit.